The book of Matthew chapter 2 tells us the following story. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the day of Herod the king, behold, wise men came from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who was being born King of the Jews? And this place where we are here right now, it's an amazing location, one of the most amazing locations that was excavated in recent years here in Jerusalem. What you see here at my right side, these are the very foundational stones of the palace of King Herod, where he was ruling 2,000 years ago. And those three wise men, those mysterious people that came from the east, they must have been somewhere here behind those walls, having this meeting with King Herod, inquiring, where is the newborn King of the Jews? And this question must have been for King Herod a very challenging question. History tells us he wasn't even Jewish, and he understood if this one man where everybody was waiting for, the Messiah, the King of Israel, the son of David, if this child is indeed that person, then he understands his rule and his reign will come quickly to an end. So he called in into his palace right here all the sages and the Pharisees and the rabbis to inform him, what does the Bible actually say about the birth of Messiah? Where should he be born? Is it really here in Jerusalem? When the sages came, they informed him and they told him that the Messiah is actually not to be born here in Jerusalem, but the old prophet Micah, he has this prophecy where it says, and thou Bethlehem Ephratah, this little town that is the birthplace of King David, that would be the birthplace of the Messiah. And when the sages came back, he was directing them into the direction of Bethlehem. And of course, we know of his vicious plan to kill all the children that were born at that time in Bethlehem. Now, this question that the Magi were placing upon King Herod, what about this King of the Jews? This is still a very relevant question for us today. Number one, if we read the gospel accounts of the birth of Jesus, each of the gospels tell us that Jesus was born in a very Jewish context. Here we read in the book of Matthew that Jesus was born as King of the Jews, putting a direct threat on King Herod. We read in the Gospel of Luke that the angel appeared to Mary and says, this child of you, he will redeem the house of Jacob from their sins. He will sit on the throne of David. And later on, Zechariah receives this amazing vision where he says he will come as a fulfillment of those ancient prophecies of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Jesus was born here in Israel as a son to a Jewish mother in a Jewish context. And even this Christmas holidays, this question is placed to each one of us. What is our relationship, not just to Jesus, but also to the people where he was born into? What is our relationship to the people of Israel, to the Jewish people? Let us remember over those Christmas holidays that Jesus was born a Jew, and we as Christians, we have a special relationship, a responsibility to the Jewish people to bless them in return. And secondly, there is a very personal question for us. What does this Jesus, this King of the Jews, mean for me personally? And today we don't have to be magi like 2,000 years ago, look for some mysterious signs up in heaven. But today we can see the signs of this Messiah, of this Yeshua all over the world. There are hundreds of millions of people whose life have been changed by this Jesus. Their lights are shining everywhere. And this question that the Magi posed to King Herod also is a very personal question for you today. What is your relationship to this king? You don't have to be a magi of ancient times, knowing for some mysterious constellations in heaven, but you can see the signs of that Messiah all over the world. There are hundreds of millions of people from every tribe, from every nation, whose lives have been changed by this Jewish Messiah that was born here in the land of Israel. And I want to invite you this Christmas season, why don't you reconsider your relationship to God, to Jesus. Make him the Messiah, the King of your own life. You might say, well, this is a challenging decision, But there's another ancient Hebrew prophet who said, this child that would be born, he has some very amazing characteristics. He's the everlasting Father. He's the wonderful Counselor. He's a mighty God to help us. And also, He is the Prince of Peace. And peace is something that many of us are yearning in these shaking times today. So I invite you this Christmas season to make Him your personal King over your life. And He will bless you wherever you might be watching that program. I want to wish you here from Jerusalem, from the very walls of Herod's palace, where those ancient magi appeared 2,000 years ago. I want to wish you a very blessed Christmas season for you and for your family. God bless you and shalom from Jerusalem.